Previously on Colorless Chapter 12, Kay barely survived the Blacklands, losing his color and even his arm to stop the terrifying sword demon. When Kay lay unconscious, Captain Red and the elite colorists finally recovered the Stella fragment hidden inside Nero, the mysterious black cat. When Kay woke, he feared being rejected again because he was colorless, but instead, Captain Red welcomed him into the Red Team. Yet not everyone was happy. Gale grew suspicious, especially when Kay's severed arm regenerated like it was nothing. Now, with secrets, jealousy, and hidden powers rising, Kay's true destiny is just beginning. Let's start. At the workshop, Mari is completely absorbed in the mechanical core Kay gave her. With shining eyes, she carefully takes it apart, amazed that it matches the ancient technology described in her books. She explains that although it uses ink as fuel like modern machines, its efficiency is on an entirely different level. The fact that such faded ink could keep a ruins golem moving leaves her in awe. Meanwhile, Kay sits beside Nero, bored and unimpressed. He skeptically asks if the core is really that special, saying it looks ordinary to him. Mari snaps back loudly, insisting that it is incredibly special. She explains that finding a relic like this is extremely rare, something even famous pioneer cores might only discover once a year. Lost in thought, she begins dreaming about that ancient era of technology and wishes she could have lived in it. Kay interrupts her, casually asking if she should just sell the valuable relic. Mari explodes in anger, waving a wrench and calling him an amateur for thinking a true technician would choose money over studying such a treasure. She confidently declares that ideas are already flooding her mind and promises to use this knowledge to create the best gear possible for him. Kay smiles, feeling that her happiness makes everything worthwhile. As he and Nero prepare to leave, telling Kay he will come back later, she suddenly calls out for him to wait. She tells him she just remembered that someone had been looking for him, which leaves Kay confused. Mari explains that while she was in the Shadow District gathering ink, some strangers approached her. At first, she thought they were thugs and even pulled out her buzzsaw weapon. To her surprise, they already knew who she was. Their leader, a man wearing a top hat, eerily asked if she was Kay's friend and said they wanted to meet the wielder of black. Back in the present, Mari admits the encounter felt like bad news, so she ran away. Kay looks worried and scolds her for going into that district alone. Mari responds that the errand was urgent and warns him to avoid any strange people. Kay agrees and leaves the workshop. As he walks through the industrial streets, Kay feels uneasy about the situation, but reasons that if they really want him, they will find him directly. Feeling exhausted, he decides to hurry home and rest. Suddenly, something catches his attention. He notices a group of people in an alley and wonders if the number of vagrants has increased. Looking at their miserable state, he questions whether a gang war in the underground might have forced them up here. At that moment, Nero pops his head out of Kay's HUD and urgently makes noise, pointing a paw toward a dark, narrow alley. Kay hesitates, knowing it is dangerous, but Nero's insistence convinces him to investigate. He sheepishly apologizes, admitting that Nero's senses have always been accurate. Kay decides to test a new technique. He concentrates dark black energy into his eyes and his vision changes, allowing him to see what is normally invisible. He successfully activates inverted vision, his left eye glowing with an eerie white light. The technique works instantly. In the pitch-black alley, a radiant figure glowing with rainbow-colored light appears. Kay is startled as he realizes someone had been standing there silently the whole time. The figure reveals herself as a woman with pale hair and an elegant dress, Lord Luminous. Sensing her gaze, Kay calls out that she turns and steps into a portal of light. Kay desperately tells her to wait, his expression hardening as he wonders if she is the one who was looking for him. He cannot allow a potential threat to escape, so he rushes after her. As he crosses into the light, Kay's face twists in shock. He finds himself in a surreal, otherworldly space, filled with floating lights and towering pillars. He looks around in disbelief, unable to comprehend the sudden change. Panic grips him as he realizes he was just in a filthy alley moments ago. Turning back, he watches in horror as the dark entrance distorts and disappears, trapping him inside. The mysterious woman turns toward him and remarks that he is just as interesting as she expected. She admits she did not plan to reveal herself so soon, but says he can be proud for finding her first. Kay, stunned, stammers and asks who she is. The woman gently introduces herself as Celestia and greets him as the Child of Black. Standing before him, she radiates a powerful, holy aura, glowing with every color at once as Kay stares in disbelief. He suddenly breaks into a cold sweat, realizing that the only person capable of such overwhelming presence is the legendary ruler of the Shining City. Kay understands in horror that she is the current Lord Luminous herself, and he is shaken, wondering why someone of her status would personally come all the way to the Shadow District just to observe him. As he struggles to understand her intentions, the intense light around her triggers a violent reaction inside him, and dark static floods his mind. His vision is overwhelmed by chaotic voices, and panic grips him. The ominous whispers that have haunted him return in full force, screaming with a desperate hunger for her light. They repeatedly command him to reach out and take it. Kay's eyes turn completely black pitch as the dark influence takes over, ordering him to devour that light immediately. Celestia notices the sudden change with calm curiosity, observing how his black energy is rapidly encroaching on him. Kay fights to stay conscious, mumbling in confusion that he didn't do anything. Celestia remains unshaken, saying she finds it fascinating. She remarks that it is incredible he has not died despite being so deeply corrupted. Comparing his aura to that of the Black Witch Nyx, she notes that he is not turning into a monster, guessing that he must have some unknown connection to the witch. Celestia reveals that while some of the city's leaders wanted to eliminate him because of the danger he represents, she does not share their view. Her eyes glow as she states firmly that she has no desire to dispose of him. Seeing him endure the corruption, she explains, proves that he has great potential. His power is too valuable to waste, and to protect the city, they must make use of the power of black, even if it comes with enormous risk, because high risk brings high reward. Deciding it is time to speak properly, Celestia grips her cane and releases a massive surge of brilliant, purifying light, suppressing the darkness around Kay. The light washes over him, and the black influence disappears instantly. He gasps for air, clutching his head as he realizes that the voice he heard during the corruption was clearer than ever before. Celestia asks him if he might have heard the voice of the Black Witch herself. Kay looks uncertain and admits he does not know. Celestia laughs softly and tells him not to be tense. She explains that she simply wanted to meet him after hearing his story from Colorless Red. Before they talk further, however, she says she wishes to express her gratitude. Kay, confused, asks what he could have possibly done to deserve that. Celestia reaches into a ripple of light and pulls out the glowing stella fragment. Holding the radiant object, she explains that very few people know its true meaning. She tells Kay that he deserves thanks for retrieving this precious light. Kay humbly stammers that Red's entire team helped obtain it. Celestia smiles and acknowledges this, but emphasizes that what truly matters is that Kay was the one who opened the Black Witch's curtain. Fixing her gaze on him, she asks if he realizes how incredible that is. Kay stands frozen, unable to respond. Celestia then reveals a shocking truth. Not even a luminous like herself has ever been able to open the Black Witch's curtain, because only the witch herself can do so. She explains that stella fragments are scattered throughout the Blacklands, most of them sealed behind these curtains. The city is constantly fighting to obtain them, but the few they have were only acquired because they were luckily exposed outside. Kay looks at her in confusion, saying he does not understand why she is telling him all this. He admits he does not even know how the fragment is used or why it is so important. Celestia agrees that she should have explained that first. Smiling mysteriously, she says it will be clearer if he sees it for himself. She warns him not to tell anyone about this, as only a select few know the truth. Suddenly, the surroundings shift. Kay is startled to find himself standing on a glowing platform high in the air. Looking down, he sees the shining city below, surrounded by an enormous wall of absolute black darkness. Panic rises in his chest as he asks where they are. Nearby, he notices a massive, radiant castle.
Celestia calmly tells him not to worry, explaining that they have moved to her residence. Holding out the Stella fragment, she tells Kay that he is the first person she has ever shown this to. Extending her hand toward the horizon, Celestia commands him to watch closely. A gigantic pillar of pure white and rainbow light erupts into the sky, piercing the heavens. The energy explodes outward with a deafening roar, sending out a massive shockwave of light. Kay stares in awe at the towering beam, his eyes wide with disbelief. The immense wall of the Blacklands is physically forced back by the overwhelming power. From the high platform, Kay watches as the boundary of darkness retreats, expanding the safe territory of the city before his eyes. In the shining city, a newspaper boy shouts the extra news from a street corner as confetti rains down, celebrating a brand new morning for the city. Citizens crowd around the papers, amazed by yesterday's miracle. They talk about how Lord Luminous' pillar of light pushed back the Blacklands, the first time in decades that humanity reclaimed land from the darkness. Hope fills the air as people believe the shining city will continue to expand and grow safer from monsters, dreaming of the day the Blacklands will be conquered completely. Looking up at the radiant castle, they wonder about the mysterious Lord Luminous, who rarely appears in public while tirelessly protecting the city's light.
As the effects of the expansion begin to show, workers and miners head toward the newly opened lands, eager to harvest rare resources and ink that were once unreachable. Inside a lively establishment, a man shouts about a new pioneer squad, urging people to invest. In the background, Kay sits quietly with his face hidden under a hood, holding a newspaper, while Nero, the black cat, chews on a snack and peeks out from Kay's cloak. Kay thinks the city's excitement is only natural after such a massive event. A few hours earlier, Kay had been standing before the glowing form of Celestia in her ethereal realm. She explained that the Stella fragment he recovered is a remarkable artifact that makes many things possible. Her tone soon turned serious as she warned him about the Black Hand, an organization connected to the figure he fought, which also seeks the fragment. Once they learn about his power, they will relentlessly hunt him. Seeing Kay grow uneasy, Celestia reassures him that the city has held off the Black Hand for a long time and promises to protect him. Her expression then becomes sorrowful as she reveals a harsh truth. Despite the celebrations, the city is stretching its resources to the limit just to survive the war. Looking at him with her rainbow-colored eyes, she tells Kay that he is special and warns that many people will now either fear him or try to exploit his unique power. Still, she promises to prevent trouble from her side and instructs him to continue his work as a pioneer just as he has been. The meeting ends, and Celestia dismisses him. As Kay turns to leave the platform, she smiles warmly and says she enjoyed their conversation. Kay looks back nervously, still overwhelmed by the presence of the city's ruler. Celestia adds that she will make sure the Red Team receives a proper reward for their success. Back in the present, Kay sets his newspaper down. Having rested for a day, he wonders what to do next. He thinks of Mari and remembers she was troubled because she had used almost all her ink. Deciding to be productive, Kay leaves some coins on the table and considers going mining like he used to. Blending into the crowd, he walks through the busy streets until he reaches a large, imposing building packed with people at its entrance. He pauses, realizing he never expected to step into this place, the gathering hall for pioneers. Back when he was colorless, he could not even get close. Now that things have changed, he pulls back his hood and tells himself he can walk in proudly. The moment he enters, the atmosphere shifts. The other pioneers stop and stare at the dark-haired youth. Whispers spread through the crowd as they recognize him as the rumored man who gained the color black, the first person in history to possess it. Some say the rumors were true and that he looks even eerier up close. Others feel uneasy and wonder why the Dawn Pioneer Squad recruited him. More gossip follows about his achievements, with people saying he made a huge contribution during his first exploration and that he is sure to receive a reward, while others question how he caught the attention of the elite colorist Red. From a balcony above, a colorist looks down with interest, remarking that the boy is completely pitch black. Raven tells him to stop standing and take a seat.
The colorist replies that he is simply curious about the kid Red recruited. Turning to Arancia, who was at the recent battle, he asks if Kay is really as amazing as the rumors claim. Arancia thinks for a moment and admits that Kay was indeed impressive, though she remembers the dark, shadowy presence that appeared behind him during the fight. She says there were unsettling aspects about him and suggests they keep a close watch. Instead of being worried, the colorist smiles, saying her description only makes him more curious.
On the main floor, Kay stands alone as he hears whispers of his new title, Kay of the Black. He walks up to the reception counter where a staff member greets him. Kay confirms that it is his first time and says he would like to take on any available work. Noticing that he lacks an official emblem, the receptionist hands him some paperwork and explains that new pioneers are limited to low-risk missions, such as ink mining or hunting small creatures. In a corner of the hall, a group of men watches Kay with open hostility. One of them sneers at his color, calling it disgusting and questioning whether someone so black can even be considered human. He says Kay feels ominous, like a creature, and complains about everyone making a fuss over him. Turning to the man beside him, he calls him boss and asks if he agrees. The boss, a man with dark red hair, sits silently with a cold expression, staring across the room. As Kay finishes at the counter and turns to leave, the red-haired man glares at him, muttering that the blat-headed brat is an eyesore. It is the same examiner who once rejected Kay, and he watches him now with deep resentment in his eyes. He remembers the recent mission where he saw Kay standing beside the elite colorists, and admits that he has hated him ever since. He cannot understand why a half-breed who simply got lucky and caught a colorist's attention can walk alongside them so easily. He also heard Kay is just a rookie with no real experience. Watching Kay leave, the examiner rises in anger, convinced that veterans like himself are far more deserving of elite squads. He urges his group to follow, declaring that they cannot allow black to pollute the city. The four men gather with malicious intent, agreeing to give Kay a proper purification. Meanwhile, Kay has already ventured into the wastelands. He stands before a massive dark cliff that hangs over the land like a curtain. Lifting a large glowing black gem, he celebrates finding another one and identifies it as chromatic ore. Beside him is a pile of colorful gems he has collected, and he notes that this is the first time he has ever gathered so many. Smiling, he thinks about how low mining yields have been lately and how perfect this haul is. Since these ores are used as fuel and weapons, just like ink, they will sell for a high price. Kay imagines Mari's happy face when she sees them and packs them into a heavy sack for her. His left eye glows with a dark light as he activates inverted vision. Thanks to this ability, he realizes that collecting resources will now be much easier. Across the gray landscape, he can see colorful sparkles of hidden materials that normal people would never notice. No matter how dark or deeply hidden they are, everything appears clearly to him. When the energy fades, he reminds himself that the technique consumes a lot of color and cannot be used for long. Joking with Nero on his shoulder, Kay tells him he might not even get a turn anymore since he's becoming so efficient. Nero looks at the 2 full sacks of ore, and Kay realizes he finished far faster than expected. He worries that returning with this much right away would draw unwanted attention, so he decides to stay in the wasteland for a while. Using the time to train, Kay holds a dark gem with Nero still on his shoulder. He reflects on his main ability, Ink Drain, remembering how he absorbed attacks during the exam and the mission. While it requires contact, it sometimes bursts out on its own against his will. He knows he must learn to control this dangerous power. Picking up a few glowing blue gems, he begins experimenting. He admires one, thinking about its vivid color and high price, but as he concentrates, his ability activates too soon. Dark energy swirls around his hand and instantly drains the gem, turning it white and worthless. Kay shouts in frustration, upset at the wasted money, and scolding his power for acting without permission. Still, he calms down, realizing he now understands the sensation better. Thinking back, he notices that the more vivid the color, the more his power seems to act on its own, just like the whispers he heard near Lord Luminous. He resolves to stay alert so his power does not control him. Looking at the dark energy in his chest, he wonders whether the colors he absorbs simply become black or keep their own traits. If black contains all colors, maybe he is similar to Lord Luminous.
A shocking idea forms in his mind. He might be able to use every color in existence. Focusing deeply, Kei tries to remember the feeling of Team Leader Red's overwhelming power. Visualizing that intense, burning red aura, he wonders if heat is the key. Holding a red gem, he concentrates until a scorching heat spreads through his body, but his control slips and the gem shatters. Alone in the rocky wasteland, Kei admits this power is not easy to master. Even so, he stays determined and continues practicing until sundown. Hours later, with the sky dark over the canyon, Kei walks through a narrow pass carrying a heavy sack of resources. Sweating and exhausted, he wonders if he was too greedy and gathered too much. Suddenly, a mocking voice from the shadows calls him a slow bastard. Kei looks up to see 4 silhouettes blocking the exit. It is the pioneers from the gathering hall. The red-haired boss stands at the front with his 3 lackeys, all staring at him with hostility. The boss sneers, saying he never expected to meet the city's celebrity out here, and greets Kei with a mocking grin as the tension thickens.